Good morning. It is my honor and privilege as the Chief Faculty Marshal to proclaim the opening of the 2011 Butler University Commencement exercises. I would like to thank Professor Richard Alden Clark and the Butler Symphony Orchestra for providing our lovely prelude and processional music. At this time, I am pleased to introduce Mr. Craig Fenneman, Chair of the Butler University Board of Trustees.
Thank you, Dr. Brabant. It's a pleasure to welcome you to the Butler University Commencement. I extend special congratulations to each of the members of the class of 2011 for reaching this important milestone in your lives. Soon you will join the illustrious ranks of approximately 44,000 Butler alumni who live in every state in our union and more than 79 countries throughout the world. Their careers and achievements attest to the quality of the Butler experience. I now call on the members of the Butler Chorale, directed by Dr. Eric Stark, and the Butler Symphony Orchestra, conducted by Professor Richard Alden Clark, to lead us in singing the national anthem. Please stand and remain standing for the national anthem. I am pleased to introduce Ms. Evelyn Vogel, Secretary of the Senior Class, who will formally welcome the class of 2011.
Please be seated. Welcome, class of 2011, to our graduation. Regardless of whether or not we are ready for this step into the real world or wishing we could come back for just one more year, our big day has arrived. As a future educator, I know that I personally have come a long way from my 5-year-old self, who, when asked what I wanted to be when I grew up, answered either a doctor or a garbage man. We've all come a long way, even from our first day here at Butler, sweating in the heat in the top floors of the residence halls and wearing the telltale lanyards around our necks. In our 4 years here, we have made lifelong friends, spent long nights in Irwin Library, and ultimately learned how to think critically about the world around us. Because of our men's basketball team's historic runs to the national championship, we have seen the phrase, "the Butler way," become a national catchphrase. And for each of us, this may mean something slightly different. Doing things the Butler way means even more for us than the way our basketball team presented itself in a positive manner at all times throughout 2 national tournaments. It is a way of life, a commitment to excellence and to helping others that will follow us wherever life takes us. Thank you, family members, friends, and members of the Butler community who have guided us through these wonderful but fleeting 4 years of college. Let us enjoy this final, joyful ceremony as the culmination of our hard work, commitment to education, and love for the Butler way. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Please stand and join in the singing of our alma mater. Dr. Eric Stark will conduct the audience in the singing. You will find the words on page 1 of the program. As we sing our alma mater, I invite you to reflect on the members of the Butler community who have and will serve their country in the armed forces. Please be seated. Our thanks to our talented musicians and their director, Dr. Stark. Now it is my pleasure. Now it's my pleasure to present Miss Claire Peterson, president of the senior class, and the 2011 Most Outstanding Woman, who will offer her thoughts on commencement.
Thank you, Mr. Fenneman. Welcome, Dr. Fong, distinguished Butler faculty and staff, Chris Ring, past president of the Student Government Association, and the 2011 Outstanding Man, and parents, families, and friends. Fellow graduates, I stand before you today as your peer and as your teammate. Let us take a moment to envision a more fitting storyline as we are assembled within this historic basketball mecca. The moment. Imagine that there are 3.6 seconds left on the clock and our team's last timeout has just been called. You sit on the bench, circled in tightly with your closest teammates and coaches. You attempt to block out all the clamoring commotion and loud distractions so that you can focus on the reality at hand. Our team is down by 2 points. Coach locks your gaze with his, looks you straight in the eye, and you instinctively know that this is your last shot. It's all come down to this moment. But you don't get to the moment without a lot of things coming before then. Let's take a look at some of them. The support. Our biggest fans have traveled from near and far to commemorate this moment with us. They have seen our imaginative childhood dreams develop into professional career goals. They have been there to encourage and embrace us. They have shown us unconditional love and maybe even shared some advice, pizza money, and maybe even some quarters for laundry. For the past 20-something years, our biggest fans have been alongside us, cheering at every game. For most of us, as we have grown older, we have had less time to spend with these close supporters. But as our future awaits us, we can always remember that they were the ones who helped us to recognize the quality of each moment. And then there's preparing for the championship game. Our fans served as a rooted foundation, and our coaches and mentors established the game plan as they challenged us to become the most authentic versions of ourselves. And it was our teammates, our closest friends, who have been there right beside us as we prepared for this championship game. We were recruited to this team knowing very few people, or maybe knowing no one at all. But just a few years later, those who we knew only as strangers have become our closest friends. It wasn't just skill that brought our team success, but it was our belief in and our respect for each other that held us together. Each of us has a story to tell. Despite the different stories each of us possesses, a connection is made when appreciating what others have to tell. Our obstacles and defeats connect us, just as we are united by our achievements and victories. Facing situations that have stressed, stretched, spurred, and strengthened us has helped us to see the possibility of every moment. And then there's the off-season. As dedicated as we were to preparing for this championship game, we sure did appreciate the off-season. In our attempts to unwind and relax, we watched countless hours of The Office and Glee. We escaped our daunting task with ultimate games of ultimate frisbee or campus golf. We went on road trips with friends and we studied abroad. We went to presidential debates and rallies, and we even watched our president crowd surf. We went sledding on cafeteria trays or in trash bags down the Butler Bowl, and we laughed hysterically at YouTube videos. We spent this respite investing in ourselves, but we also spent much time investing in others. Beyond taking the time to serve our own needs, we served the needs of others. This helped us to realize the potential of every moment. And then there's the next season. Similar to the hours of conditioning, training, and practicing that it took for us to get to this championship, our liberal arts education has prepared us for the next step. Because we wear the Butler jersey, future employers know that we are well-rounded, critical thinkers, and active citizens. In this game, win or lose, we must still face the coming dawn. No matter what the outcome or the score, tomorrow is inevitable. We must move forward with confidence and faith. It's all about attitude. In an instant, this moment will quickly pass, but we have the capability to make the next moment an even greater moment. We have been enriched, challenged, and molded by our experiences preparing for this championship called graduation. The things we have invested in and poured all of our time and energy into will soon change as we transition into this next season. The challenge before us today is how we will choose to live a life of purpose. My favorite coach, who just so happened to be my biggest fan and my mom, once told me that the meaning of life is to give life meaning. You've got one shot to define your life of meaning. Seek truth, pursue your dreams, laugh often, keep learning, count your blessings, and continue growing. And then, when the time has come, don't forget to thank your fans, your teammates, your coaches, and supporters, and give them a hug too. Embrace the changes, embrace the confusion and the joy, but most importantly, embrace the moment.
Thank you, Claire. Once again, our talented Butler Chorale will perform Things That Never Die with music by Lee Dengler, text by Nixon Waterman, which has been drawn from the works of Charles Dickens. The words are on page 2 of your program. Please welcome Dr. Stark and the Butler University Chorale.
Things can never die. Nothing pass, for every hand must find some work to do. Lose not a chance to awaken love. Be firm and just and true, so shall a light that cannot fade belong thee from on high. And angel voices say to thee, these things can never die. These things can
Thank you, Dr. Stark and the Butler Chorale. That was beautiful. At this time, Mr. Andrew Banks, treasurer of the class of 2011, will present our faculty speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Finneman. It is now my distinct honor to introduce the faculty speaker of the 2011 commencement. Dr. Paul Valliere, Professor of Religion and Philosophy, and McGregor's Professor in the Humanities. He was valedictorian at the highly ranked Williams College, where he received his bachelor's degree in English in 1965. While studying at Columbia University and Union Theological Seminary in a joint program, he received both his master's and doctorate in religion. Dr. Valliere has always been interested in studying the religions of the world and has a particular interest in Russian religions. He travels to Russia as often as possible, both to teach and to continue his exploration of the Russian religion. Dr. Valliere joined the Butler community in 1982 as an associate professor of religion and was promoted to full professor in 1990. Dr. Valier truly values his relationship with Butler University, specifically with the students. While at Butler, he has been influential in the development of the Center for Faith and Vocation, and also chaired the committee to establish a chapter of Pi Beta Kappa, a prestigious honor society, in 2010. As an educator, Dr. Valier welcomes discussion and interaction with his students. In fact, when asked to deliver the last speech to the Butler faculty in 1999, he suggested that a conversation would be more appropriate. And so it is still. Dr. Valier is as interested in our own ideas and opinions as he is in expressing his own. Furthermore, he promotes individuality and encourages students to incorporate outside interests and talents in the classroom. During a recent honors course, several of Dr. Valier's students utilized choreographed dance and poetry in their final project. While Dr. Valier is respected for his vast knowledge and intellect, it is his humility and desire to make each student be the best that they can be that truly makes him so special. In short, he personifies what makes Butler a community. Selected by the class of 2011, it is my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Paul Valier.
Well, thank you, Andrew, for that very thoughtful introduction. I deeply appreciate it. And thank you, members of the senior class, for the invitation to speak to you on behalf of my faculty colleagues who've gathered here to congratulate you, the class of 2011. You sure picked a great time to be at Butler University. Now, I'm not going to try to enumerate all the steps that brought you to this day, and I'm certainly not going to try and predict the steps that lie ahead for you. But I do ask you to let me play the professor one last time and point out that the word graduation comes from the Latin word gradus, which means step. So, as you step up onto the stage in a few minutes and walk a few paces in view of the crowd, you will indeed be graduating, taking a step, a new step, into a new world. Now, if my little Latin lesson strikes you as pretty impractical, something you could spend a happy day without knowing about, just think about how impractical the whole of this graduation day is. First of all, these robes and crazy hats. I mean, what's the point? And they cost you money. Of course, you get to keep the outfit. I'm sure you're really pleased about that. But your family and friends don't even get a tassel. And to watch you graduate, they're going to watch 848 other people graduate, most of whom are strangers to them. It really would be easier if we did graduation some other way. I mean, we could text you your degree. Or if that seems a little too slimmed down, we could do graduation on Skype. Of course, the reason we're doing what we're doing today is obvious when you stop and think about it. Today is not just a day for degree granting, nor even just a day for saying congratulations. Today is a celebration. It's a party. And for a party, we need to get together. We need each other's flesh and blood presence. We need each other's spiritual proximity, too. Call it friendship, if you like. On graduation day, we need to be together. Now, I realize that talking about togetherness can get pretty sentimental pretty fast. Still, I do believe that working together as a mutually supportive team or community really is something that distinguishes Butler University. Or to put it more precisely, it's something which you, your student generation, has clarified for Butler University in remarkable ways in the last 4 years. When we think of discipline teams of Butler students, of course, our thoughts turn first to the athletic programs, which have represented us so splendidly, and in several different sports. But I've got other teams on my mind as well. For example, there's the team led by members of your class that brought us Shakespeare's As You Like It this past February, and Shakespeare's Twelfth Night in December, and Shakespeare's Tempest just last month. 3 Shakespeare productions in 5 months. Now that is serious teamwork. And there's the 109-member, ever beautiful team we call Butler Ballet, which brought us Tchaikovsky's Sleeping Beauty 2 weeks ago, and Swan Lake last April, and Cinderella the April before that, and Giselle the April before that. And there's the 81-member Butler Symphony Orchestra, which took on the formidable challenge of presenting Shostakovich's Fifth Symphony this past February. And if you're fuzzy about who Shostakovich was, just ask one of these bulldogs down here in the orchestra pit. I'm sure they'll clear it up for you. They better be able to clear it up for you. And then there are the teams that served the underserved, such as the medical brigades of Butler's Timmy Foundation chapter, who traveled a couple thousand miles from our campus to help bring decent health care to a community in Guatemala, and the pharmacy and health sciences students who traveled a few thousand yards from our campus to help bring decent health care to communities in Indianapolis. And think of program boards, spectacular dance marathon that raised a record-setting $100,000 for the children at Riley Hospital. This is just a minute sample of the things you and your class have been doing for the past 4 years. But this is graduation day. This is a day when, like the Roman god Janus, you have to wear 2 faces at the same time, the face that looks back to where you've just been, and the face that looks forward to where you're now going. Many of you don't yet know just where that is. And to be perfectly honest, even those of you who know where you're going next don't really know what that route holds in store for you. But remember, the values that got you this far, hard work, quality work, teamwork, and friendship, are the same values that will take you further. You've done great things for the last 4 years, and we all feel a twinge at the thought that those years are now over. But here's the good news. The last 4 years are not your final 4. You can go on doing what you've been doing, only in new contexts as members of new teams and doing it even better. Some of you are joining the Indianapolis Public Schools or other school systems, a truly patriotic career choice for citizens of a democratic republic, since a democracy without an effective system of universal education is on its way to becoming something other than a democracy. And some of you will be putting your intellect and team spirit to work in the financial and commercial sectors, helping to incubate and accelerate the kinds of enterprises on which the prosperity and very likely also the peace of our country will depend. And speaking of peace, at least 2 of you are joining the United States Peace Corps, and 1 of you has just received his commission as an officer in the United States Air Force. And 1 of you will soon be joining the Kroc Institute for International Peace Studies, the most distinguished institution of its kind in America. And speaking of America, several of you are joining AmeriCorps, or Teach for America, to help build stronger communities here at home. And then there are those highly specialized teams to which some of you have been recruited, such as the Department of Physics at the University of Michigan and at Washington University and at Ohio State and the Graduate Department of Chemistry at the University of Chicago, and at Wisconsin, and at Pitt, and at Notre Dame, not to mention a lot of other fine programs in these and other disciplines. Of course, none of this has happened yet. It starts tomorrow, while today is still today, graduation day. In today's celebration, however, you have a precious resource which you can put to work tomorrow and the next day and the day after that. Let me sum it up in the words of a really wise person, Master Kung, a teacher from the ancient Chinese state of Lu, the person we call Confucius. In a lovely passage of the Analects, one of Confucius's friends asks him about the meaning of togetherness. And Confucius replies, "Live every day as if you were attending a great ceremony. Treat everyone as if you were receiving an important guest." It's a beautiful thought. Let this special day, this impractical ceremonial graduation day, serve as a reminder to treat every day as a special day. Let it serve as a reminder to greet every morning as a special morning, as a time for a new step, a fresh idea, a chance to do something that hasn't been done before, a chance to acknowledge someone you haven't acknowledged before. So remember graduation day. Remember the smiles on 1,000 faces, the pride in your parents' hearts, the tears in your friends' eyes, and the love all around you. Remember these things and tell yourself, I'm going to look for them every day. You'll make the world a better place by doing that, and you'll find yourself empowered to cope with winter and rough weather. And while you're at it, while you're using the gifts which are yours, remember also to thank the giver. And may the giver of every good and perfect gift speed you on your way. Congratulations again, and thanks for listening.
Thank you, Dr. Valliere, for your thoughtful message. It's my pleasure to introduce to you the president of Butler University, Dr. Bobby Fong.
Thank you, Mr. Fenneman. Welcome to Butler University's 2011 commencement exercises. I add my congratulations to the many that you, our graduates, will receive today. This day is the beginning of your personal and professional journey, and truly only the beginning of your contribution to Butler's legacy. Years, even generations hence, students will stand where you stand today. They will be grateful for how you enriched the university while you studied here, and equipped with a Butler education, went on to serve the world with your intellectual expertise, creative ingenuity, and heartfelt compassion. You will be Butler's face to the world, and future students will be your inheritors. As students, you were the lifeblood of this university. As alumni, you will be its heart.
Thank you, Dr. Fong. In honor of his 10 years of outstanding service, with the recommendation of the faculty and the approval of the Butler University Board of Trustees, Dr. Fong has been invited to be our commencement speaker and this year's honorary degree recipient. Butler University presents an honorary degree today to our commencement speaker. Oh, I just said that, sorry. It is said that a leader is someone who sees more than others see, who sees farther than others see, and who sees before others sees. Those words define the transformative leadership that Dr. Fong has given Butler. When he became president in 2001, he saw that Butler was a good school, but it could do more and be more, that it had good bones on which greatness could be built. He helped us achieve successive balanced budgets, endowment growth, and record-setting fundraising. Thanks to that prudent leadership, Butler fared better than most universities and colleges during the recent years of economic recession and did not have to lay off staff or cut programs. Butler was able to make an additional financial aid available when state student funds were reduced and has been able to welcome a growing student population. By seeing farther into the future, Dr. Fong recognized that Butler needed more programs and more facilities that address the way students learn and live in the 21st century. Almost every year of Dr. Fong's tenure, Butler remodeled or built a new structure. Additions include the Apartment Village Student Housing Unit, the Health and Recreation Complex, and the Pharmacy Building addition. While looking forward, Dr. Fong also looked farther back than others, all the way back to Butler's beginnings in 1855. He called on all of us to honor our founders' commitment to make education accessible to a diverse student body. He saw to it that we modeled this commitment by seeking a more diverse faculty and staff. He reminded us of Butler's legacy of active participation in the life of Central Indiana. He encouraged the development of service learning curricula that takes our students into the community and engenders their understanding of civic engagement and contribution. Before the rest of us saw what was possible, Dr. Fong saw that Butler had the potential to become one of the country's top master's comprehensive universities. He has set Butler on a strong path toward that goal, as we can judge by the steady upward progress the university has achieved in numerous national rankings. He challenged us to be ambitious, to dare to make a difference, to dream bigger, and to use careful planning and consensus building to achieve those dreams. This summer, Bobby and his wife, Suzanne, another thoughtful, generous friend and advocate of Butler, will move to Pennsylvania. There, Bobby will assume the presidency of Ursinus College. We will miss them. The Butler community is a far better place for their having lived and worked and shared joys with us. We thank them for inspiring us with their vision of a better Butler. So in deepest gratitude and respect for all that he has done to serve our students and community and to elevate the university's national reputation for academic excellence, Butler is pleased to have President Fong accept our honorary degree and address our graduates today. On the recommendation of the faculty, with the approval of the Butler University Board of Trustees, and by the authority vested in me, I confer upon you, President Bobby Fong, the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa, with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereto.
That was one of the few times where we didn't have to ask the honorary degree recipient to bend down. Trustees, fellow faculty and staff, students, parents, and friends. I am honored by having been made a member of the graduating class of 2011. With you, my classmates, I will be departing this nurturing community to a new stage of my life with new challenges. Unlike most of you, however, I've had the opportunity to graduate before and to experience the transition from undergraduate study to the opportunities that await. It is my privilege to briefly offer some counsel to you upon this occasion. My essential admonition is simple. Make good use of your freedom. Let me organize my remarks around two poles. What are you free from, and what are you free to be? Now, freedom doesn't start today with your graduation. However much you may be tempted to chant the old childhood rhyme, no more pencils, no more books, no more teachers, dirty looks. We're not talking about emancipation, a single event, but freedom, a condition of being that you will be learning to live into your whole life. As a teacher and administrator, I have loved working with undergraduates because, apart from infancy, you change more between the ages of 18 and 22 than in any other four-year period of your life. For some of you, these years have been transformative. One member of our class is graduating in actuarial science, but has accepted a fellowship to be a mathematics teacher because service to inner-city youth has become more important than business success. Recently, I had occasion to talk to parents of a former Butler student. They have continued to be involved with Butler out of gratitude for how their daughter morphed from a shy freshman into a campus leader over her 4 years, confident in her abilities and character, and stepping from graduation on Saturday to a marketing job on Monday, one made possible through an internship where she was able to make herself indispensable to her future employer. I know similar stories can be told of many of you today, from students matured in intellect and character to parents exulting in your children's entry into the workforce or advanced study. But undergirding your specific preparation for work and life has been, I hope, an education for freedom. All of you have been tutored in the liberal arts, literally the skills associated with the free citizen. They include the ability to think critically, communicate effectively, work cooperatively, and act ethically. But they also encompass dispositions of mind and attitude, what de Tocqueville described as habits of the heart. As graduates of Butler University, you are called to the condition of freedom, a possession to be treasured and preserved lest it be lost. In what ways are you free? First, claim your freedom from received opinion. On the one hand, all of us necessarily begin life trusting in the wisdom of the elders. We presume what we are taught is true. In this sense, received knowledge spares us from having to reinvent the wheel, and intellectual breakthroughs are achieved by building on the past. As Sir Isaac Newton once wrote, "If I have seen further, it has been by standing on the shoulders of giants." But on the other hand, you know that just because an opinion enjoys widespread acceptance doesn't make it true. Advances in knowledge are achieved by correcting and modifying received notions. The very nature of your Butler education has been to equip you to test the received knowledge, values, and assumptions that comprise the lens through which you see the world. Socrates asserted that education is a process of critically examining received opinions, not because they are always necessarily wrong, but because they are not your own until you have claimed them as true. The educated person must decide what values and assumptions to affirm as one's own, and what criteria to use in ascertaining the validity of an assertion of fact or truth. So affirm your freedom from received opinion in the years to come. It will enable you to avoid being swept up by prejudice and passionate intensity. Live the examined life. Second, claim your freedom from fear of difference. There's safety in the familiar, in family and friends who share your values and perspectives. It is natural to prefer the company of the like-minded. Unfortunately, these tendencies can also encourage tribalism. It can be far too easy and comfortable to divide the world into those who are like you and those who are alien. It can be far too easy and comfortable to spend your life in the company of those who never challenge your beliefs. I hope that your Butler education has taught you to respect ideas different than your own and to welcome people different from those you have known. This is not a matter of tepid tolerance or uncritical relativism. It is a realization that knowledge and values are contingent. We must esteem individuals according to their achievement, but we must also remember that the very definition of success and happiness are culturally mediated. In the course of your education, you have been encouraged to seek new experiences, to go abroad, to reach out to those from different backgrounds. This wasn't a matter of charity or generosity, but your introduction to the rich diversity of human life. You welcome the stranger because to another, you are the stranger. In the years to come, may you honor others precisely at the points where they are different from you. Live a hospitable life. Third, claim your freedom from the expectations of others. You came to Butler bearing the hopes of your family and friends. Many of you leave Butler carrying the aspirations of your teachers for you. Those who care for you are well-intentioned, but they also have the potential of distorting your own sense of destiny unless their hopes and aspirations are truly your own. Perhaps the most important and lasting legacy of your time at Butler is that you have developed a sense of your own best self, who you are and what you want to do. As the father of two sons, I have had to resist imposing upon them my sense of what I want for them: financial security, stable employment, marriage, and a happy family. That is, I want grandchildren. What makes my desire so pernicious is that they arise from love and pride. These golden chains are what makes it so hard to free yourself from the hopes and aspirations of those you love and esteem. Yet unless you have the courage to pursue your own dreams, and those who love you give you the freedom to do so, you will always be living out an agenda set by others. This is an essential aspect of integrity, for I believe that unless you maintain a firm sense of yourself, it will be difficult to stand firm in times of temptation and trouble. My favorite book is Robert Bolt's play, A Man for All Seasons. In his preface, Bolt observed of his protagonist, Thomas More, quote, "He knew where he began and left off, what area of himself he could yield to the encroachments of his enemies, and what to the encroachments of those he loved. It was a substantial area in both cases, for he had a proper sense of fear and was a busy lover. Since he was a clever man, he was able to retire from these areas in wonderfully good order, but at length he was asked to retreat from that final area where he located his self. And there, this supple, humorous, unassuming, and sophisticated person, set like metal, was overtaken by an absolutely primitive rigor and could be no more be budged than a cliff," unquote. In the years to come, may you maintain, in Bolt's words, a adamantine sense of your own self. Live a life of integrity. So claim your freedom from received opinion, from fear of difference, from the expectation of others. But what is freedom for? Your Butler education has equipped you, if you wish, to transcend the limits of family background, geography, economic and social disadvantage, and your very past. Your life is what you will make of it. For some of you, that prospect may be frightening, and you may be tempted to seek the familiarity of limits by retreating back to the expectation of others, to the shelter of like-minded communities, to the comfort of inherited values. For others, that prospect may seem exhilarating. In W.E. Henley's words, to be master of your fate and captain of your soul. Yet I will caution, such radical autonomy can lead to a life without commitment. Freedom for its own sake exiles oneself from the obligations of community. It thus may be ultimately lonely and unsatisfying. What is freedom for? My answer may surprise you, because freedom is a means to larger ends. Your freedom lies in choosing to what you want to bind yourself. I spoke earlier of how the most enduring legacy of your Butler education is your development of a sense of yourself. In turn, that self, if you have one, is the most precious gift you can give to others. You are freed from the chains of received knowledge, fear of indifference, and the expectation of others. But I urge you to consider that true living is in binding yourself in promise to those you love. Such promises, freely given, are the bases of lifelong commitment in marriage, in friendship, in service to the community, to the nation, and to the world. You need to reflect in the coming days on what you truly believe and on how these beliefs will shape your choices in the years ahead. Do you believe in telling the truth? What will you do then when a boss suggests that you fudge the numbers on a balance sheet? Do you believe that quality and hard work should be rewarded? What will you do then when a customer asks you to find a job for a child? If you do not decide on your values and live them, then you will be bound by those of others. What are your commitments to be? At my first commencement as Butler's president, my friend, the Nobel Peace Prize laureate, Archbishop Desmond Tutu, told the story of a farmer at sunset watching his field of ripening grain. A traveler comes by and says to the farmer, "It's marvelous what you and God have done with this field." The farmer replies, "You should have seen this field when God had it to himself." The Archbishop went on to say that God is in the world, but we, all of us, are God's hands. What good will be done will be through us and our hands. So what will you do as God's hands in the world? And you, and you, and you. The Archbishop went on to say that what we need to do is be active as God's hands. Today, in my last commencement as Butler's president, I say to my fellow graduates, claim your freedom, but make use of it to pursue, in St. Paul's words, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is of good repute. If there is any excellence, and if anything worthy of praise, dwell on these things. Class of 2011, I wish you happiness and success in living lives of purpose intertwined with the welfare of others. And for the very last time as Butler's president, I say to all of you, go Dogs. At this time, I recognize Provost Dr. Jamie Comstock.
Thank you, Dr. Fong. It is absolutely my honor to be part of the commencement celebration for the Butler University class of 2011. The 849 graduates represent a total of 39 of the United States of America. We hope that many of you will remain in Indiana. That will make it easier for us to stay close to you. But wherever you go, you will define better than anyone else what it means to be educated the Butler way. By earning your degree, you have demonstrated that you are prepared to make a living, which I'm sure your parents appreciate, and it's very important, of course. However, we've also done some calculations and determined that the class of 2011 have collectively performed an estimated 67,000 hours of community service during your time at Butler. Now, 67,000 hours is a very impressive number. In this way, you have shown that you understand the importance of building a life of purpose. As you've heard Dr. Fong say many times, where you know that your own well-being is intertwined with the well-being of others. The faculty and staff at Butler University are very proud of you, and very proud that you will be our representatives wherever you go. We have designed your education and your experiences here at Butler to have local impact and global reach. And so we'd like to recognize that there are 39 international students representing 21 different countries among those who graduate today. Isn't that great? International students, we are delighted that you chose Butler University. We would welcome you should you choose to prolong your stay in the United States. If, however, you are returning to your home country, we make one request. Send us more students from your home. At Butler, when we emphasize education with a global reach, we mean that we are dedicated to helping students become engaged citizens of the world, people who are desiring to make a positive difference in this global world in which we live. And this is one of the core commitments that sits at the heart of a Butler University education. Reflecting that commitment, 234 of the graduates today have studied abroad. You, like our international students, have brought the value of your international experience back to your fellow students and to this campus, and we thank you for that. Now, at this time, it also seems very important for us to pay tribute to the Butler University faculty. Our faculty, of which I'm very proud to be included among their ranks, have come to us from some of the finest institutions in our country. They have excellent credentials. They have impressive accomplishments. And they have a fierce dedication to delivering the highest quality liberal arts and professional education. These innovative faculty members get up every day focused on your future. And after your family and your loved ones, there is no one more dedicated to your education or more proud of you today than the faculty at Butler University. So faculty, would you please stand? And graduates, please join me in recognizing our faculty. We are now ready to move on to the presentation of our graduate and undergraduate degrees. Are you guys ready? It's finally your turn. Will all members of the graduating class please stand? Mr. President, the candidates standing before you have completed all of the requirements for their respective degrees. They have been recommended by the faculty and approved by the Board of Trustees, and I now present them for the conferral of their degree.
Therefore, on the recommendation of the faculty, the provost, with the approval of the Board of Trustees, and by the authority vested in me, I confer upon you the degrees recommended with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto.
Now, in keeping with academic tradition, those of you who will be receiving bachelor's degrees may now move your tassels from the right side to the left. Please be seated.